So hello everyone, and thank you for joining this summer school webinar today. We are happy that you join us. We have around 80 plus webinars through July and August. So feel free to go on our website, sidecoursesummerschool.com, and check out what the other webinars are about and register for them. So, just a few housekeeping rules. If you have any questions during our webinar, feel free to put them in the chat box that you will find on the side of your screen, and we'll come back to the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And without further ado, I'll give the word to Matthew Dunt, who is business consultant at The Reference, a partner of Sidecore, and who will give you information about customer experience design. Mathieu, please go ahead.
Thank you, Fabienne. Well, good morning, everybody. So, as Fabienne introduced me, I'm Mathieu Dunt, a business consultant at The Reference. What I do is I help our customers define the next step in their digital strategy. And with the work that we have been doing over the past few years, we felt that we needed to have some kind of formalized framework for everything that has to do with customer experience design. And we've also seen from surveys, for example, from the survey that we did last year with, I think it's a few hundred respondents, that many marketeers and other people who are busy with digital marketing and so on feel that indeed the customer experience is becoming a very important part in everything that is what customers value in the products and services that are being offered, especially also with digitization, that products and services are being commodified at an increasingly faster pace. The experience offered is becoming a very important aspect. But we've also seen, and other surveys have proven that too, that there are many hurdles to creating or thinking or working with the customer experience, designing it and managing it. And that's why last year we released a white paper based on our experiences with our customers, and also our research, in fact, in trying to come up with a formal framework. Now, that sounds very heavy, a formal framework. It's not that heavy, it's not that difficult. But what I want to do in this presentation is show you how we got there, what it looks like, and how you can practically apply it. The first question, of course, we have to ask ourselves is why on earth would we want to design the customer experience? It's a good question, because it's a question that, of course, many of us will be confronted with when we talk to the people holding the money and let's say dividing the budget. So why should we spend time, money, and effort on everything that is the customer experience? There are two big reasons for that. One reason is a financial one. That if you look at the classic pricing strategies that exist today, there are in fact three. One is that you base your price on your cost. You say, look, in order to brew a cup of coffee, the cost of labor is X, and the cost of the coffee is that, and so on. I'll just apply a target margin to that, and that is what my coffee will cost in the market. Of course, you don't take into account the market itself. It's just the cost of goods and the cost of production. That would mean that if you look at the beans in and of themselves, the beans cost for a cup of coffee, the beans cost 2 cents. So it's a bit difficult to really apply that strategy to the pricing for a cup of coffee. But if you look at the market and you say, look, what are other people charging for that cup of coffee? Then you can have a pricing strategy that is more in line with the market, and where you signal something to that market if you are above or below what typically is being asked in the market. And you see that, for example, a Starbucks asks a bit more than what is generally asked in the market, and other people ask less. So that's a market-based approach is one way of pricing or capturing, in fact, the value that you are offering to your customers. A difficult one, but a very, how do you say that, a very interesting strategy of pricing your products is finding out what your customer would actually want to pay for your product or your service. And that's value-based pricing. It's difficult to find that out, but in a sense, there's a reason, or there's a way to improve the value that customers attach to your product, and that is through experience. If you look, for example, one of the highest prices of coffee that you can find for a cup of coffee that you can find in the world is here. This is Café Florian in Venice. It's the self-declared oldest cafe in the world, and you pay around between 7 and 10 euros for a simple cup of coffee there. Why is that? Because of its location, of course, because of its experience that is being offered. People are happy to pay 1,000 times the actual cost of those 7 grams of beans of coffee because of the experience. They're looking at the Piazza San Marco, they know that Hemingway and Charlie Chaplin and other famous historical persons have had their coffees there. It's the oldest coffee in the world, it's Venice, and so on. All of this just to say that a large part of the price of your good or service is defined by the value that you offer to that customer. And a large part of the value that you are offering is increasingly becoming the experience. Meaning that looking at the experience and thinking of how can we improve the experience is something that is directly related to your margins, to what you can ask for your product or your service. And there's a second very good reason and very easy reason why you should look into designing the customer experience. That's because no matter what you do, people have experiences anyway. Whether you want it or not, people get experiences. Even if you don't care about the experience that they're getting, they're having an experience. Even if it's the most commodified product in the world, such as, for example, a box of staples that you sell, there's still an experience attached to it. So all the more the reason to look into how can we improve this experience, how can we differentiate ourselves through that experience, how can we increase our margins by offering the experience that makes us more valuable in the eyes of the customer. In order to do so, we looked at some simple things in the sense that what are experiences anyway? What are defining features of the experience? What is that, the experience? And one thing that we found out is that experiences are in fact very important. In fact, even more important than the product or the service itself, because if you think about it, think about the restaurant where you had dinner about a month ago. If somebody would ask you, how much did you pay? Would you be able to tell in quite exactly what you paid? Perhaps you will, but most people will say, oh, I paid around that or that amount. If somebody would ask you, what did you eat? Exactly, what did you eat? Do you remember specifically what you ate in that restaurant a year ago, a month ago, but even a year ago? A year ago, I don't remember exactly. But if somebody would ask you, what did you think about that restaurant? How did you feel about that restaurant? It's very much possible that even 3 years on, you still remember, or think that you remember, very exactly how you felt about that restaurant. Oh, it was a bit posh. Well, I thought it was good value for money. They gave a lot of food, and it was not that okay. The waiter was very friendly, or the reverse, and so on. So there's a lot that you still remember about the restaurant, about the experience, but things that you ate there or how much it costs are things that you remember less long. So, to put it a bit more theoretically, experiences are sticky. Services and both goods are consumed and forgotten, but the experiences are not. There's another thing about experiences that we can use, and that is that experiences are shared. If I talk about the restaurant that I went to, if I talk about the business that I interacted with, most probably I will be talking about how I felt about that. It went smoothly. They're a bit quirky, but they're fun. They're very friendly. I had a good time. Things like that. and I talk about those experiences. If I had a bad experience, I will do so as well. There are in fact huge industries being built on the fact that experiences are being shared. Think of TripAdvisor, Foursquare, and so on. And I wouldn't want to be the owner, for example, of this restaurant. Chances are that he doesn't know that people are telling this about his restaurant, but still, experiences are being shared, and with digitization, with online, with mobile, and so on, experiences are being shared at a very increasingly rapid pace, and people are expecting to find shared experiences about almost any business online today. How is it working with these people? Look at, for example, Glassdoor, which is an HR service online, where people share their work experience. How do they feel about working there? So people share everything, all of their experiences. Again, a reason to, first of all, think about what can we do about that experience, but on the other hand as well, it's an interesting thing. People sharing experience, we want them to share that. A third aspect about experiences, and there it gets a bit difficult, is that experiences are in our minds. Now, that's, of course, a platitude like there is no other. But what we mean with that, or what I mean with that, is that there is no way we can actually design an experience, because up until today, and I don't think that will change tomorrow, there are no technological or other means of getting into the mind of people and implanting a memory or an experience. Which simply means that experiences are formed through what we feel, what we hear, what we see, the things we touch, and so on. So impressions. Meaning that if we think in terms of how can we design experiences, we should be thinking in terms of how can we design for an experience. We can only hope that that experience is being experienced. As I said, experiences are in our minds, they're formed by impressions, they're formed by the little things. And there starts the basis of the framework. It's the little things. Just to give you an example, suppose you're going to the Sitecore annual conference, I think it's in New Orleans this year. You book a hotel, you went to the hotel, say, oh, it's a nice hotel, it's cozy, nothing too fancy, but it's good, I'm happy with this hotel, and you have to go to the bathroom, and then you see this. Not this, but this. What do you think about this hotel? It's a very silly thing, it's a stupid, banal piece of roll of toilet paper, but the impression, the experience that you have of this hotel is completely different through this very singular little thing, a roll of toilet paper that has, let's call it, been abused. If you would have seen this in that hotel, you would have said, oh, okay, this is a classy hotel, it's okay, this is what I expect, that they show me that this bathroom has been cleaned, and so forth. And if it would be a hotel where you would see this, you would be saying perhaps, whoa, this is a very fancy hotel. Or you would be saying perhaps these people are doing a bit too much effort, I don't like this. Or you might very much like this. Incidentally, if you are in the hospitality business and you're looking for ways to do this, there are books about this. I found these during my research. So there's a book, the go-to book for everything that has to do with toilet paper origami, was written by Linda Wright. So look it up on Amazon if you want. But as I said, experience resides in the little things. And if you start looking for it, it's in fact incredible how many things are forming the ideas, the emotions, the experience that you have about a certain business. Once upon a time, there was somebody who cared a lot about the pregnant mothers coming to his shop, and he said, you know what, I'll reserve a part of my parking space specifically for them, close to my entrance, to the entrance of my shop, I'll reserve some parking spaces. The man who first did this was somebody who even got into the paper, and he attracted a lot of business with it because he showed through that little thing, just reserving 2 or 3 extra parking spaces, that he cared about expectant mothers, that they were welcome in his shop. And I can imagine that there were other little things that improved that experience, such as, for example, maybe a diaper changing room, store employees not looking cross at babies crying, but helping their mothers, for example, and so on. And online you see it too. For example, this retailer just a second. Yeah, this retailer says that he has the best prices online, and it's in plenty of little things that you see that this promise is being kept. For example, if you select the name and type of the product that you are looking at, chances are that you will be Googling for it or putting that, copy-pasting it into Amazon.com. What they do is just show a little pop-up saying, we price match. You know that our promise is that we keep the lowest prices, that we have the best prices for you. And that promise is being shown everywhere, in every little touch point. Even if you select the product name, they say, don't forget, we price match. Call us and we'll match the price so that you buy with us. Another example of how you can form an experience through very little digital things is Google. If you think in terms of privacy, who's best in safeguarding your data or safeguarding your privacy? If you have to choose between Facebook and Google, let's say, who would you choose? Chances are many people will say, I trust Google a little bit more than I trust Facebook with my data and my privacy. But there are many reasons why that is, but one is, it's a little thing again. But if you look at the privacy statement of Google, first of all, they notify you that they've changed it. And the way they present it is that they show you what has changed. Facebook doesn't do that. Even Apple doesn't do that, but Google does. They show a difference between what was the previous privacy statement and what today's privacy statement is. What does that tell me? Whoa, Google takes that very seriously, but they're also very transparent about it, which is exactly what Google wants. It's an experience again, a memory, a belief, an idea that I get about Google that is formed through little interactions. A prime example is, of course, Airbnb. Airbnb was founded by two people that came from Stanford D School, so the design school, and they have focused on customer experience design relentlessly. You see it, for example, in that lower widget, the widget with price range. If you think about it, and I think people could write a book about this widget, this is brilliance in all its simplicity. Because what does this tell you? What experience does this give you? It tells you that there are places to stay in Ghent between 9 euros and more than 1,000 euros. Okay. But it also tells you that the average is about 84 euros. So that means if you go above 84 euros, you're getting something better than average. That's already one thing. It also shows you that in fact Airbnb has a lot of data on this location. The gray bars that incidentally look a bit like a cityscape, a city skyline, those gray bars show you Airbnb has a lot of places to stay in Ghent and they know a lot about it. So in fact, the simple widget enforces the idea that there's no reason why you would ever go to one specific hotel chain or any other supplier of places to stay in Ghent, because Airbnb, they have it all. And it's just two circles, a red line and a few vertical gray bars that tell me this. From an experience standpoint, this is one of the most perfect things. It's unobtrusive, it does what it does, and in the meantime, it tells me so much. So all these little things, expectant mother and so on, make the experiences more memorable. If you look at, for example, the expectant mother sign, it tells you in fact that this shop is serious about their commitment to new mothers. And there will be plenty of other signs, clues to that specific message. Same thing with the online retailer who says we're not scared of being compared, we price match, we give you the best prices. Everywhere you go on that site, it's being exhaled, it's really saying we have the best price. Don't go away, we have the best price. Don't worry, we have the best price. Same thing about Google. We are transparent about our privacy policies. Your data is safe with us. Same thing with Airbnb. Everything they do tells you, everything they show tells you nobody knows this city better than us. Nobody has more data and places to stay. Trust us, you can book a room through us. And that's in fact where, if you start designing a customer experience, that is in fact where it starts. What is that message that you want to tell? As a customer, we get those messages. If the experience is very well designed, we can immediately say, aha, but this company is about that. If you look, for example, at the reviews on Yelp and so on, it's American reviews, on Yelp and so on, for Pain Quotidien, you see exactly what Pain Quotidien wants you to think, or wants these people to think, expressed in their reviews. And that is through all those little things that they have been planting, unconsciously sometimes, and sometimes very consciously, in their dining, how do you call it, in their locations. People say, Pain Quotidien is traditional French simplicity. Little do they know that it's Belgian, but who cares? It's traditional French simplicity. But also look at the second one. Time slows. And that, if I were the owner of Pain Quotidien, and I'm sure that the owner thinks like that, he would be very happy with people saying, if I go to the Pain Quotidien, I can finally finish my paper. I have 2 kids, and every weekend I struggle to finish my paper, to find the time to read my paper. But if I have a lunch at the Pain Quotidien, I have the impression that I'm in a timeless bubble, and I have good conversations with the people around me. I can finish my paper, and so on. So these are, we call them, in our framework, we call them motifs. It's like the da-da-da-da by Beethoven. It's everywhere. If you look at the Pain Quotidien, if you look at Airbnb, if you look at Google and other people, and also smaller brands, you see that there are motives that you can infer from those little clues that they have strewn everywhere. So this was Pain Quotidien. So motives, how do you establish these motives? It's through your brand. It comes from your brand. If you look, for example, at a business that is quite, if you would think of it, you say this is a very commodity business. Package delivery, logistics. Think of the big 3 in package delivery. That's Federal Express, DHL, and UPS. But their brands differ a lot. If you look at some of the advertising campaigns, advertisements that they have been doing, FedEx tells you, we're a machine. No matter what you put into the machine, it will come out almost instantaneously on the other end of the machine with no, unharmed and very fast. Look at this picture. It really says you put something precious in there and it comes out exactly as it was, almost instantaneously. Could you do different? Yes, you could. DHL, for example, had an advertisement campaign where they said, no matter where, no matter how, we will get that package delivered. Even if we have to swim to get that package delivered, it will get there. Is there yet another way? Yes, there's another way of branding what is, in fact, is almost the same service, and that's what UPS has been doing last year. One of the commentators, industry analysts said, ooh, McKinsey, watch out, because UPS is becoming the logistics consultant instead of a simple package delivery company. UPS draws the human card, and they say, look, as a business, logistics is a very important part of your business, and you might look at it from a cost perspective or from any other perspective, but talk to us. We're here to help. We can help you improve your logistics, turn it into something valuable for you and for your customers, and so on. So instead of United Parcel Service, they became United Problem Solvers. And that is reflected in each and every touch point, or they're rolling that out, in each and every touch point that there is with their customers. Look at the website of UPS, look at the copy, look at the visuals. They say peace of mind, we'll take care of it. You deliver joy. Let UPS help you stress less this holiday season. The 2 calls to action are also very consultative in nature. Do you have a problem? Let's solve it. Do you want to plan ahead? Let's do that. It's always very human. And look at FedEx, the complete opposite, where they say we're an algorithm, we're a machine. The FedEx Delivery Manager, registered trademark. Deliver it on your schedule. It's really, give it to the machine and the machine will take care of it. And yes, it's a very flexible machine. The human part is completely gone. They sell the message of this just works. Don't worry, this just works. UPS sells the message of we're humans too. We'll make it work. We'll help you make it work. And you see that everywhere. So that brands, what do we stand for? What is our promise to the market? Is through these motives, the da-da-da-da, is really reflected in the advertisements, in the site, in the copy, in the visuals, and so on. Thereby creating a complete experience that is different from the competition. As we were presenting this white paper, we spoke at an event last year when we presented this white paper as well. Exactly on the same day, Starbucks presented or launched their pre-ordering mobile app in the UK. And in fact, when we looked at it, we said this is a brilliant example again of customer experience design. Because what is, and especially from that brand perspective, because what is Starbucks? Starbucks aims to be the third place. The third place between home and work and between work and home. Starbucks wants you to feel as comfortable and as homely as you do at home. And they want you to feel as productive and they want you to have that same atmosphere as at work as well. So that's why you see many people working at the Starbucks, and you see many people on their way to work and on their way to home stopping at the Starbucks. Friends chatting, but also colleagues working and so on. So they want to be that third place. From that, they said, how can we even improve that? Because if we are the third place, it means that people want to come to us, and we have to facilitate them stopping by at their Starbucks and going to work or the other way around. So they made an app that allows you, while on the bus or on the train, let's say for example from Ghent to Brussels, you just order your coffee, your favorite coffee. It's completely personalized, as is the service, or as is the aim with the service in the Starbucks locations themselves. You order your coffee, you pay for it, and you just drop by your Starbucks, take your coffee, say hello to the cashier, and she says, have a nice day at work today, see you tomorrow, bye-bye, and off you go. That's in fact the reason why this app exists. And it makes me think this must be a very expensive app, because you have to know what is your favorite coffee, but in the back of it, and you have to be able to make payments within the app. It's perfectly designed and so on. But in the back office, the people who are in the Starbucks location, they have to be preparing your coffee, your latte macchiato or whatever, just in time for you to arrive. It has to be a hot coffee, and so on, and so on, and so on. It must be, from an organizational and logistic perspective, a true nightmare to do this. Imagine that you are the person coming up with this idea, and you're just saying, wouldn't it be fun if I could order my coffee online via my app while I'm on my way to work? And you present that to a board or a committee or whatever, and they would say, yes, it would be fun, but have you thought about the implications? It's very expensive. From that perspective, nobody would ever do that. But if you look at the perspective from the customer experience, then you would say, whoa, this really corresponds with who we want to be. This really improves the customer experience as we want it, personalized, fast, third place, that third place motive has to be everywhere and so on. Then you would say, there's nothing stopping us. Whatever the cost, we must be doing this, because this is what Starbucks is all about. Now, to the framework. I've been talking about a lot of different things. I've been talking about clues, those interactions that that exhale the motives being the da-da-da-das, the things that we want to tell to our customers, that we want to form experiences with, that come from our brand, and so on. How do we put everything together? In fact, it's pretty easy. This is how it is done, and we share it as well in more detail in the white paper that I've just talked about. I'll give you the link at the end of this presentation. But this is in fact how it is done. You start with looking at what is in fact that customer experience. Through what channels, customer journey, excuse me. Through what channels does the customer interact with us? What are those interactions? What are those touch points? You can go very far with that. In fact, for a large furniture retailer, we spent months actually mapping out all of those different touch points across all the different channels, online and offline, and so on. Our suggestion is pick a few channels, don't go too far with it, and prioritize. Have a look at those touch points, have a look at those existing or virtual journeys. I mean, you can draw out scenarios. It doesn't matter. As long as you just start putting things on paper, putting post-its on the wall, and looking at those touch points, prioritizing them and saying, these are the most important ones. Next, what you do, you look at the brand and you say, who are we in fact? What is our core message to the universe, to the market? What are our promises? For example, we've been working on branding with a company called Melexis, which is a I should say integrated circuit developer mainly for the car and automotive space, but they are working, of course, on other things as well, washing machines and everything. One of their core messages is, we are in fact relentless in solving your problems. You have a problem with the sensor not picking up what it should be picking up, well, we will solve that problem. We are inspired by the creatures in nature that survive, evolve to solve their problem, to solve a problem that has to do with their environment. We're inspired with them, and we have the same relentless feel for evolution, innovation, and so on, to solve environmental problems through our sensors. What I want to say with this is, sometimes it's a very difficult exercise, sometimes it's a very easy exercise. You just ask yourself, what are we about? Why are we doing this? And the second part of this question is, if somebody interacts with us, if a customer interacts with our business, with our company, how would she talk about that company, that interaction, if it were a person? And so, what person do we want to be? Do we want to be a funny person? Do we want to be a wise person? Do we want to be a bit of an arrogant person, but always right? Do you want to be a very serviceable person? And so on, and so on, and so on. So what is our brand personality? That's the next question that we ask during these exercises, and that you should ask yourselves too, to come to what we call the motives, the da-da-da-da. If we are a funny but quirky person, how does that translate itself into motives? What do we want people to say about us? He's very funny but quirky. That's one motive. And then the next thing would be, how are we going, we get back to these touch points, how are we going to design our touch points in that way that the motives, a funny but quirky person, a very serviceable organization, or any other motive that we want, how are we going to do that in these? How are we going to design our clues so that these motives are very clear to customers, that they subconsciously say, Pain Quotidien, I have the idea that I'm in a time bubble. I have a lot more time. Time comes to a standstill. Or look at the long tables at Pain Quotidien, where they say, I have room for conversation. I feel people are friendly there. Look at Google, who is saying, we are very serious about transparency and about safeguarding your data and your privacy. It's a motive. That motive is being expressed through their in the way that they are presenting privacy statement changes. And then what happens is these motives that people infer from the interactions that they have with you, through those cleverly designed clues, these motives are what people will be talking about. These are the experiences that they form, and these are the experiences that they will be sharing. They will be telling stories to each other. And if they had a very bad experience, they'll be sharing stories such as the one that we saw on TripAdvisor, the worst restaurant in the world. That's not what we want. This guy didn't take into account a lot of the experience that he is offering to his customers. But if we are attentive to the experience that we are offering, and we're doing a much better and better and better job of it, people will start talking about you. They will be talking about the interactions that we had with you, and with a little bit of luck and a little bit of time, or in fact a lot of time, these will become even legends, legendary companies such as Ford back in the day, or Apple back in the day, or Disney at a certain time, or Volvo, with the idea that they are the most secure, security-focused car manufacturer in the world. So this is in fact the framework. Starting from those touch points, bringing together brand personality into motives, and then designing the customer experience in those little touch points, in those little interactions, infusing the dance into all of those touch points. So what are we waiting for, right? Let's do this. It's easy, right? In fact, it's not that difficult. It's true. It's easy and very much fun to do as well, because changing those touch points, changing those things into things that will really infuse your character, your brand personality, and so on. It's a conduit for a lot of creativity and a lot of fun. But there's one major hurdle, and we've seen that. I discussed it. I already told this in the beginning of the presentation as well. We see it time and again in service and also in our experiences that of the top reasons why people do not start with designing the customer experience is that, one, there's the idea of complexity, but I don't believe that. You've seen already that the framework is very simple and there's nothing missing there. The lack of overall strategy, as you see in this survey overview. Okay, what we believe there is that by infusing brand and asking very existential questions about what are we about, that the strategy will follow, because you will know this is what we want to tell to our customers. These are the experiences that we want to have them walk away with, and that starts from the brand. But it's the second one, the organizational structure, that is a very, very big hurdle, a very big obstacle that you cannot solve with simply a framework. To get back to Airbnb understood this. Airbnb, they have won the war of sharing, the hospitality sharing economy, because there were a lot of players back in the day, and a lot of them have withered and died. And one of the main reasons Airbnb has won that battle is because of their relentless focus on customer experience design and their understanding that everything and everybody within the organization has to look at their business through the lens or the perspective of the customer and the experience that he walks away with. And that's a big problem in today's businesses. Oh, marketing says that's an IT issue. That's not my department. Oh, says customer service, that's a product problem. I don't have anything to do with it. That's for product management. And that's a big problem, because I'm exaggerating, but in many cases, people are looking at their own departments, at their own agendas, and not looking at everything from the journey, the experience of the customer. Katie Dill, head of experience design at Airbnb, says, you cannot design an end-to-end experience unless you organize for it too. Everybody has to be aware, understand, and take ownership of that customer journey and the experiences it engenders. Otherwise, it will never be complete. It will never be as it should be. Incidentally, Katie Dill is the highest paid person within Airbnb, because she is head of experience design. It's not the CFO, it's not the CMO, it's not the CDO, it's not the CIO. It's the head of experience design. And that, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not just pretty sure, I think everybody agrees, that's one of the secret ingredients of the success of Airbnb. They are organized for the customer experience. But how do you do that? Well, of course it's a big change if you want to say, oh look, let's demolish or abolish everything that has to do with departments and budgets and I don't know what. As from tomorrow, we'll all be organized across the customer experience. So it's a step-by-step approach. We've seen that a good way of slowly starting with customer experience design and slowly introducing the awareness that in fact a siloed approach to designing that experience, siloed meaning from marketing, IT, customer service, product management, sales, and whatever, is not a productive way of doing that, or not an efficient way of doing that, is not focusing on how to delight the customer or bringing in a lot of fantastic experiences, but by focusing on weeding out the frustrations. We've been able to bring together people around the table that hadn't spoken to each other within certain large companies, people from IT, marketing, customer service, and so on, by focusing on the frustration. If you map out, remember the framework, if you map out the customer touch points, the channels that they are using, and you look at it not from a perspective of how can we improve or create a delightful experience, but you look at it from the perspective of where are we frustrating this customer, then people will generally tend to agree pretty rapidly, oh yes, that's true, that's a problem. And then you can start setting or leveling the bar, weeding out the frustrations, making a roadmap and saying, look, we'll first tackle this, that, and so on, and then start, once that ball gets rolling, start thinking of, and how can we improve this experience now? How can we infuse much more of our brand into this experience? So that's, I'm almost done. That's in fact the general idea, the general framework behind customer experience design. I hope I've been able to tell you where it comes from, how you typically tackle that, and I'll just quickly go over the key takeaways. First of all, most of the value in products and services today, especially with commodification going faster and faster and faster, resides in the experience, meaning means of differentiation with the competition, but also means of capturing, increasing the value and capturing it, increasing margins. The return of investing in experience is higher than investing in classic advertising. Think, for example, in terms of the tourist trap, but also word of mouth experiences, people coming back. Think of the idea that Starbucks had with the improving the experience through allowing people to order, to make their personalized order on the train already. Very important as well, experiences are in our mind. You cannot design an experience as such, you can only design for an experience. Meaning also, but that's a whole other topic, with regards to measurement and improvement, you should think not in terms of how is this experience, but you should think in terms of, are we actually creating the experience that we want to create, that we want people to walk away with. Experiences are in the little things, and they are memorable through repeating motives, repeating the da-da-da-da. Your brand plays an important role in everything that is designing the experience or for the experiences through those motives, because the motives are derived from the brand personality, and so on. And more than anything, it's a question of organization. Get the different people of the organization around the table, get them to look at your business through the perspective of the customer by starting with weeding out the frustrations. Where are we frustrating our customer? And that's, in fact, a bit of a name and shame tactic. This is frustrating our customer. You cannot in any way want this, or say to anybody who says this is frustrating our customer, we won't fix that. These are things that need to be fixed, and you can fix it in a customer experience design way, as we just explained. So to conclude, what's up next? What do you have to do next? Well, download the white paper. It's a bit heavy, to be honest. It's pretty academic. We wanted to make a good academic white paper. Read it and challenge it. Talk to us. We've created a LinkedIn group. There are about 150 people there. About 90% of those people I've never heard of, so I don't know them. The idea is that people talk to us, talk with each other, converse about their experiences with customer experience design. I must say, I urge you to join that group, but I must say it's a bit silent there. I hope it's because people are thinking about customer experience design and rolling out things that they will come back and say, look what we have done. But there's not a lot of interaction, to be honest. So please, go ahead, say whatever you want, tear into that white paper, talk to us about the frustrations that you had with trying to implement customer experience design, talk about how Sitecore has helped you, everything that you wish in that LinkedIn group. Just get started without the frustrations. Even if it's an exercise of 2-3 days, but just get started. Your customers will be very happy for it, and your business will only profit for it. And as I said, we did an event. We Platinum sponsored an event last year, the More Than Digital Day. It will happen again this year, so have a look and please sign up. That's a little plug. I hope Fabienne doesn't agrees that we've done that. Okay. Thank you for your attention. It's been a long road. It's been a lot of information. Read the white paper. I think these slides will be shared later on as well, so have a look at them again at your ease. And thank you again for your attention.
Okay, Mathieu, we're opening up for questions. I see there's already one question that came in. You talked about the frustrations in starting such a customer experience centered project. Does this frustration come from the fact that digital doesn't deliver what the different departments are looking for?
It could very well be. There are different frustrations. It could be very simple. Very simple things like a disconnect between the different paths in the journey. I mean, if we look at digital, I could be clicking on an ad that promised me something, and then I land on a page that is, for example, the home page or something. It's sometimes very stupid little things that have to do with that, or it's marketing doing offline advertising that is not at all reflected in everything that has to do with digital. If I, for example, hear a radio commercial for a specific product and then I start Googling for it because I forgot what brand was offering that product, I can't find them back. I heard something about a promotion, but I don't see anything digitally about that promotion. It's those things, disconnects in the whole of the journey that frustrate me, that force me to say, I don't know, I'll go somewhere else, or that take too much energy from me, where we say, look, but customer support should be doing this, for example. We should be doing this for our customers. We have all the data. Other examples are requesting data again and again. It's typical that marketing and customer support don't share the customer database, for example. Why don't they do that? If I call and I give my name, they should know that I used a certain coupon, for example, online. Stuff like that. It's really that, and it touches everything. It touches data integration. It touches communication between the different departments. It touches little things. It touches very big things, and so on. Is that I hope that's an answer to your question.
Yes, I hope it is. Here's another question. If you talk about customer experience, do you still think that a lot of companies are concentrating on acquiring new customers instead of nurturing their existing customers?
Oh yes, exactly. And it's. I think there are a few reasons for that. To get back to the frustration thing, and it's a frustrating thing for us as well. If you speak with people on a rational level, they will say, yes, it's true that it takes 5 times more energy or effort to acquire a new customer than to do repeat business with an existing customer. The same thing with the frustration weeding. where we say, if we start designing this customer experience, we will start with weeding out the frustration. Yes, you're right, because there's a lot of things that go wrong still and so on. We should look into that. What's the next step? Oh, there's some shiny new thing that we want to implement, and now we want to do this, and now we want to do that. It's the same. I can't put my finger on it, but it's the same. How do you say that? Mechanism that works, that makes people want to attract more customers instead of serving their existing customer base better. It's the same thing that marketeers say, oh, shiny new thing, let's implement that, then improving what is there today. I hope I'm making myself clear. It's a typical, I don't know, it's some kind of instinctive thing or a very human thing that people put more attention in attracting new customers than doing repeat business with existing customers. It's true. And the reason why companies are not investing in customer experience design, that's a very good question and a very good remark, could very well be indeed that they could very well be related to the fact that they like to attract new customers more than serving their existing customers. Could very well be that. That's a good remark.
Okay, thank you very much, Mathieu. We don't have any more questions today. If you think about any other question that you would like to ask us, don't hesitate to drop us an email and register for the next webinars. And thank you very much, Mathieu, again, and speak to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Bye.